right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Robert Greenstreet at Scott Leroy Marketing. If you can hear me, feel free to sound off in the chat. I like to make sure that everybody can hear me. I'm going to send a message in the chat window so you guys know where to find that. That should be popping up for all of you there. So today we're going to be talking about, we're going to be looking at our Placester 201 class. This is our advanced Placester class. This is going to go beyond the initial setup, making sure that your information is everywhere that it needs to be and getting your site launched and ready for clients to start using. This is going to be a little bit more than that. We're not going to cover the basic stuff. We're going to get into everything basically past the site settings screen. So I'm going to go ahead and exit our slideshow here. And our first step is going to be to get logged into our mykw.kw.com homepage. If you're not already there, I'll give you a minute to get there. Your KW website is administered through MyKW. It's not administered by logging directly into your website using the login button. It's usually up in the top right. That's not where you log in to make changes to your site, nor do you log into Placester.com. You're actually going to log into your MyKW homepage to get through to the Placester interface. Once you're into your MyKW homepage, up in the top menu, hover over Technology, and we're going to click on our second link here, which is KW Websites. And then on this page, you should have a big red button, should be closer to the middle for you guys, I'm zoomed in here, that says Go to My Website. If you don't have this button, refer back to our Placester 101 class because unfortunately there's not anything to be done about that during the time of this class. There are two requirements for this button to be here on this page. One is that your @kw.com email address has to exist. You don't have to use it, it just has to exist. And if we did your setup for you, we will create that KW email for you. So you don't really need to worry about that. The second requirement is that your MLS ID needs to be added to the KW white pages by leadership at your office. So the MCA or the team leader or the agent services coordinator, they need to add your MLS ID to the KW white pages. If you don't have this button, double check with your office leadership and have them do that for you. Once they do that, within 24 hours, and unfortunately it's not an immediate thing, it's just sometime within that 24-hour period, you'll get a notification to your KW email as well as a pop-up notification when you log into MyKW that this new site is ready to be set up. Once you've got that notification, you can either follow our Placester 101 class to get it set up, or you can send us an email and include your MyKW username and password, and we can set that site up for you. This is going into the more advanced stuff, so we're assuming that your basic setup is already done and you do have this Go to My Website button, so we're going to click on that. And it may take a minute or two to load. And excuse me, you should see something very similar to this. You should have maybe these tiles across the top here. You'll probably have a notification actually that says you need to launch your site somewhere across the top here. If you do see that notification, go ahead and click on that link that says Launch Site. It's just one click. There's not a crazy process for launching your site. You click Launch and it's launched. It's all done just in one click. And when you click that, it's going to take you somewhere that I'll show you in just a minute. If you have already launched your site, feel free to click on Edit Site over here on the left, and we'll get over to there in just a minute. But if you haven't launched your site yet and you click on that Launch Site button, it'll take you to, if we click up here in this grid of 9 squares and then click on Sites, it's going to take you to this page where it lists your existing sites. You should only have one site. We have seen some agents that have 2 or 3 sites accidentally. We're not sure why that happens, but you know, power to them, they get to have more than one site. Or if you're a member of the commercial or luxury divisions, you do get an additional site for each of those divisions. Right now, we're just going to work on Scott's residential site here. So if you launched your site, we're going to click on Edit Site right here. If you had already launched your site or you want to launch your site later, from the dashboard, we'll click on Edit Site over on the left. Those are going to go to the same place. So here is our site settings page. This is what's covered in the Placester 101 class, the basic class of getting your information everywhere it needs to be, getting your site launched, and making sure that it's ready for clients to start using. Here we're going to be covering the rest of these menu options up here. Instead of site settings, we're going to look into pages, blog posts, testimonials, and areas. If you are an agent who previously had an agent's index page on your site, don't delete that page because the agents pages have actually been moved to an upgrade package from Placester. So new agents actually aren't going to have that availability. And if you weren't using that page, they removed that as well. And it's now part of the upgrade package, which is why Scott doesn't have that. Excuse me. There are a couple of things we're going to cover here on the site settings page. Down here at the bottom, we're going to look at custom domain and site tracking. Custom domain, if we click on that, is where if you purchased a custom domain that you want to use for your site rather than the .kw.com address that's assigned that you can change right here, this is where you would put that in to have it connected to your site, as well as going into your domain registrar and changing those settings. I want to point out this link up here that says check our step-by-step help articles. This is from Placester. They have articles showing step-by-step how to connect your custom domain to your KW website. There are some changes that need to be made on your domain registrar and you need to add your custom domain into this box right here, including the www. If you guys want instructions for that, we do have some separate videos for how to use like GoDaddy and iPage and Internet Crusade for that custom domain, connecting it to your KW website, or you can just click here and it'll take you to those articles. You can just click the one that's correct for you. Once you've got that process done, what's going to happen is instead of your .kw.com domain showing in the address bar when someone visits your site, it's going to show your custom domain instead. This is not forwarding with masking, it's mapping. Forwarding with masking isn't as good for, what are they called, search engines, and it can mess up the structure of the search on your site, so people wouldn't be able to find listings the way that they're supposed to. So if you're using a custom domain, make sure to follow these step-by-step help articles, or you can send us an email to support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can help you to get that connected for you. That's a free service that we offer to agents that are part of market centers that are subscribed to us. The next thing we're going to cover is down here in site tracking. This is where you would put in your Google Analytics tracking ID, and we're not going to get too much into Google Analytics here. We do have separate videos showing how to set that up and how to get it connected to your site, but I will talk to you a little bit about what Google Analytics is. The main thing to note is that Google Analytics shows how and what and how long people are on your site. It does not show who. No analytics system should be collecting who information because that's an invasion of privacy. Only on KW sites and on your KW app also. User information is only gathered when the user starts the lead submission process. It's a voluntary thing. They only put in their information if they want to. It's not going to grab their information off their computer forcefully. So this is where you would put in your Google Analytics tracking ID, and Google Analytics can track how many people have visited your page in a certain period of time, and you can do that from 1 day to a month to a year, how long they were on your page, which pages they're visiting on your site, how they got to your site, whether they typed the address directly or found you through a search engine or clicked a link on Facebook or in an email, where they came from. Say they were you were posting an ad somewhere on maybe Yahoo or something, it'll show you that. If you're using what am I talking about there? Google Ads, it'll show you if they came through that. And it'll also tell you how many people come onto your site and then immediately leave because it wasn't what they were looking for. If you want, again, information about Google Analytics, we do have separate classes for that. Definitely look those up on our slmtraining.com YouTube channel there. Okay, so that's all we're going to cover in the site settings section here. Now we're going to jump over to pages in our top menu. So that's under your site name here. We're going to go to pages. We are in site settings currently. We're jumping over to pages. And again, guys, if I'm moving too quickly for you or if you can't hear me, I did send that in the chat there. Shoot me a message because I can't hear you guys. Let me just make sure that I did mute everybody else. I shouldn't be able to hear you guys, and so the only way to communicate is through that chat window. Make sure to send me a message if I'm moving too quickly. So here is where we can create pages on our site, and we get questions all the time about what's the difference between a page and a blog post. A page is going to be a more permanent fixture on your site, something that you always want to be able to be found in the same place. And this is going to be information like buyer resources or seller resources, or a link to a mortgage calculator on your site, or the listing search, or the contact page, or the about page. Those are going to be static. The information isn't really going to change very often. You can update these pages as often as you want to, but the information isn't likely to change very often. And versus a blog post, that information information is going to be pushed down as you post newer blog posts. A blog post is a little bit more mercurial. Say you post a blog one week and you post a blog the next week and the next week and the next week. That first one is going to be pushed down and replaced with the newer one, so it's not always going to be able to be found in the same spot. It is always going to be able to be found on your site. It's just they're going to have to do maybe a search or a scroll or look through multiple pages. Static pages are always going to be found either in the menu or at a specific link, and that's where you're going to put information that you want to be able to be found all the time. So pages, we're going to, well, before we click on the plus sign to create a new page, I wanted to point out the default pages that are created with your site. You should have an about page, a blog page, a contact page, a listing search page, and actually most of you should have also a your favorite listings page. Excuse me. And that your favorite listings page is going to be showing people that have registered on your site. If they've saved their properties, it'll be a page that lists those saved properties. And that's actually what we're going to go create now, just in case we don't have that. So we're going to click our plus sign here to create a new page. And I guess I held that too long. And we're going to start with the slug here. The slug is just a fancy term for saying what is going to be the link to this page. What is the address of this page? So the slug gets its information from the page title. So I'm going to call this Your Favorite Listings. And you see it automatically sticks that over here in the slug. So once I send this page live, if I go to scottleroymarketing.kw.com/your-favorite-listings, that will take me to this page that we're creating right here. So that is basically the address of your page. Under that, we've got template here. There are several different templates that you can use for creating a static page. We've got our about page that we already created, our areas index page, which is going to list all of the different areas that you've put in, and we'll get over to that in just a minute. A blog post index, which has already been created, which is going to list the different blog posts that you create. The client profile is actually the one that we're going to create now. That's the Your Favorite Listings page that's going to list their saved properties. Under that, we've got a contact page, which has already been created. The custom landing page, you'll notice the highlight actually skips right over. It won't let me highlight this page. It won't let me select it. I'm clicking on it and it's not doing anything. That is an upgrade feature so that you would need to contact Placester directly for if you want to create a custom landing page. That's for a home valuation or something like that. You can create a custom landing page within your site here. That's an upgrade package from Placester. I think it starts at $90 a month. I don't really consider that worth it for that because here at Scott Leroy, we actually have some free landing pages that are created through Google Forms that we can help you get put on your site. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com and we can help you get that added for you. Under that, we've got a featured listings page, which is going to take your featured listings settings from the site settings page that you set up in Placester 101 and create a page that's full of nothing but featured listings. It's not the regular search page, which is down here, the listing search page, which has already been created. You've got an RSS feed index page where, say you have a blog that you've already been doing and you want to feature those blog posts on this site rather than copying and pasting them over, you would get the RSS link and paste that into an RSS feed index page. Under that, we've got a real satisfied ratings and reviews, which is essentially what is that called? Yelp for real estate agents. So there's a review site called Real Satisfied, and if you've signed up for that, I'm not sure if there's a fee for that or not, but if you've signed up for that and you've got some reviews on that site, you can put in your login information for Real Satisfied, connect it to your Placester site here, and it would create a page that would automatically pull in those ratings and reviews from Real Satisfied. And then you've also got a testimonials index, which would be listing the testimonials that you would add in right here. So the three index pages that you would want to worry about are the blog post, testimonial, and areas. So you've got a blog post index, areas index, and testimonials index. And we'll talk more about those as we get to them. So we're going to create a client profile page. This is going to create that Your Favorite Listings. That's the title we're going to give it here. And there's not really any content that we need to add to this page. This is just a link that's going to go in the menu that will show whatever saved listings that person that's logged into your site has. Down here, we've got our meta title and meta description. Each and everything that you create on this site, whether it's a page or a blog post or a testimonial or an area, has its own meta title and meta description. I'm not going to go too into detail about these. I'll just show you where these show up. The meta title shows up here in the browser tab. So Placester's meta title for this page is Placester. So whatever you put in this box on your site, when someone looks in this browser tab, that's what it's going to say up there. It's also, if you go over to a search engine, and you search, say, Scott Leroy marking, it's also the blue text that's displayed here in search results. So the meta title is this blue text here, as well as what shows in the browser tab up here. So we're going to do something like your favorite listings. And then down here in the meta description, this only shows in one place. It's also on search engines, and it's this gray text that shows underneath the blue link for your meta title. We've got a little bit more down here so that you're telling the search engines what to display as this blue link and as the description underneath that. So something like see the properties you have saved, something like that. You can put whatever you want to in these. I do want to point out the meta description here is not a place to load up meta tags, quote unquote, like you know, homes for sale in Orlando, real estate in Orlando, properties in Orlando, blah 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 in Orlando. That's not how search engines work anymore. In fact, this can be detrimental because what it expects here is natural language that an actual person is going to read. This text right here is displayed that people can read, not just the search engine. So you want it to be a helpful description of what they're going to find on that page before they click on it in the search engine. Once you've got all that information in there, you can either click Save as Draft, which would make a draft copy of this page. It wouldn't make it live on your site, and it wouldn't add it to the menu. Or you can click Save, and it would make it live, and it would add it to the menu. By the way, I forgot to point out this checkbox here. You do want to check this most times for pages that you're creating. We are going to leave this checked for your favorite listings because we do want this automatically added to the menu so that we don't have to manually go do it. Now I'm going to click Save here. And it's going to pop up asking me if I want to edit the menu, and I'm going to tell it no. I'm going to close that. So now if I click on View Live Site up here in the top right, and I open up Scott's site, now I've got this link up in the menu for your favorite listings. And if I were signed into his site, it would show me my saved properties. There we go right there. So jumping back to pages here, we're going to click this plus sign one more time so that I can show you the default page template. That's the one where you can put in kind of anything that you want to. We're going to do the one at the top of the list here in this drop down. The default page template has space for your own content. It's not like what's it called? Your favorite property is the client profile where it automatically puts stuff in for you. This is where you can put in your own content. So this is where you do like buyer resources, seller resources, about the area, things like that. So I'm going to call this, I'll call it buyer resources. And on here, you could do something like you could link to a home inspector and then, you know, apply a link, do all that fun stuff. You could do a mortgage calculator. You could have a link to your mortgage provider, anything like that. You could have, you know, amenities in the area, whatever, things that would be helpful to buyers. Once you've got your content there in that box, and we're not going to spend a whole bunch of time on this, I'm just showing you this as an example. You can come back and edit this and add your own information later. We actually do have a separate video showing specifically how to create custom pages. I'm just showing you the basic information for this. Once you've got your information in there and you've got your title, remember that it's going to automatically generate that slug. So if you're wanting to share this page to maybe social media or in an email or whatever, you could just copy and paste that. Or you could go to your site, find that page, and copy it out of the address bar. Once you got your content in there, you've got a couple of options down here. For the default page template, you can choose to display this page full width. So if I go back over to Scott's site and I'm on my Your Favorite Listings page, over here on the right, I've got a Get in Touch page. And actually on most pages, there's also going to be a search box over here. Let me open up a blog post here. There's going to be a listing search box and a Get in Touch. On every page that you create, a regular custom page, it's going to have these two over here. If you check this box here, it's going to remove that search box and the contact box. It's up to you whether you want to do that. Maybe if you're creating a landing page or something like that that you don't want to show that contact or that search information on there, you're welcome to do that. But for most pages, you do want to leave this unchecked because the point of your site is A, for clients to be able to find properties, and B, to be able to contact contact you. Both of those are available on every single page unless you check this box here. Under that, you do have the option to automatically add this page to your menu, and you can check that or uncheck it if you want to. On most pages, you are going to want to leave that checked. Down here, you've got your meta title. We're going to call this Buyer Resources, Tools for Buyers from Scott Leroy, something like that. And don't agonize too much over these because you can change these anytime you want to, and the search engine would eventually update those. Again, you've got the option to save it as a draft to not send it live yet, or you can save it and it would make it live and add it to the menu. So I'm going to click Save here. And it's going to ask me whether I want to edit the menu, and I'll tell it no. I'll close that. So if I go back to Scott's home page here, either click on the logo or any of this text up here or click on Home. Now I've got this new menu item here called Buyer Resources. If I click on that, now it's got my text down here that I put into that content area there. And if you notice, here's my meta title for Buyer Resources. Okay, so that is the general way to create pages. We are going to create some of those index pages here. The blog post index has already been created. That's this blog page here. But if you'll follow along, we're also going to create a testimonials index and an areas index. We're going to create those really quickly. We'll click our plus sign here to create a new page. And in our template dropdown, first we're just going to do areas just because it's alphabetically first. And we're going to call this something like areas I serve or communities I serve. I'm going to call it communities. And then we'll put something down here like get to know the area around Orlando, Florida with Scott and Roy. And this will automatically pull in the area pages that we're going to create later. So we don't really need to worry about that. We do want to add this page to my menu, and then we're going to put in a meta title for communities served, and then learn about the communities around Orlando, Florida with Scott Leroy. There we go. So now we've got our areas index page, and again, here's our plug here. And so you've selected your template, you get into the title, you've got some page content in there. You don't even have to have page content. I just wanted to show you that that's how you can do that. And then we're going to click Save so that it can add that to our menu. And we'll close it when it asks us if we want to edit the menu. Once we've got that saved, we're going to click the plus sign one more time so that we can create a testimonials index page. So we'll click that. In the template here, it looks like it's automatically selected testimonials index. And I'm going to call this happy clients. You can call this testimonials, you can call it reviews, you can call it pretty much anything you want to. I'm just going to put happy clients there. And there is no spot for page content here. So really all you need is to select that template, give it a title, and then give it a meta title and a meta description. There we go, something like that. And again, you can come back and update this or edit it later. I forgot to tell you how to do that. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So you'll choose your testimonials index template, give it a page title, leave that box checked to add this page to my menu, give it a meta title and a meta description, and then we're going to click Save down here at the bottom so that it adds it to the menu. And we'll close that. So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to jump over to Scott's site and refresh it. And now we've got that new communities I serve and happy clients up there in the menu, and we'll fill those out in just a little bit. So now on my pages page, where it lists the existing pages on my site, there's two ways to edit an existing page. One is you can either click on the name of the page, or you can click on edit over on the right. So if you click on, we'll do the listing search here, you can change the title, or you can change, some of the information that's on it. And then you would make sure to save it down at the bottom right. Or if it's a page that you don't need anymore, or you didn't mean to create, or it's your office has made you remove it, I don't know. You can click the remove button here, and that would take the page off your site. So we've got those index pages, created. Now we're going to jump over to testimonials. We're going to jump over to blog posts. So every site comes with 4 default blog posts. These are generated at the time that the site is created. They were written by Placester. They're not going to add any more for you. KW International is not going to add any more for you. Any new blog posts are going to need to be added by you or by any kind of service that you hire, or maybe by your assistant or your admin. But there is not going to be any new information put in by Placester or by KW. And the publish date is going to be the day that your site became available on your account. You can click on the title or on the edit button to change any of these existing blogs. You can remove them if you want to and start over from scratch. We're going to click our plus sign to create a new blog post. So we've again got our title and our slug. They switched the positions evidently. So I'm going to call this something like, staging your home tips. There's no M in tips. There we go. So this is my blog title, and I can put my content down here, staging your home for a showing or open house is an important part of the home selling process. Blah, blah, blah. You can put anything you want to in here. And a blog post, there's no hard and fast rule for how long or how short it has to be. A good starting point is about 200 words. Give it a couple of paragraphs. Blog posts are, like I said, they're a little bit more mercurial. They are always going to be able to be found on your site. It's just newer content is going to push down older content. So people ask us all the time, what are some topics for blogging? How do I blog? What do I put in a blog? There's a lot of really great information out on the internet for how to blog. A couple of recommendations are, number one is blog about your practice and your specific life. Did something funny happen at a showing? Did somebody, clog a toilet? Or did you find termites when you didn't expect there to be termites? Or did the neighbor come over, think you guys were breaking in? Or was it a vacant house and you happened to find, somebody's leftover food in there, something like that. Lots of great stories from your particular practice could go into your blog. Say there's something happening in national or local news and it's affecting your practice, or it's affecting the real estate market, or it's affecting you personally. You can write about how that's affecting you. Say you read a blog by somebody else that says such and such is happening in the real estate market, and you're seeing something different, or you're seeing it play out in a particular way in your market. Write about that. It's not great to copy and paste somebody else's blog into your blog. That's called copyright infringement, and they could get you in trouble for that. You want to either paraphrase, or you can link to their blog and say, so-and-so wrote a blog post about such and such, and here's how I feel about it, or here's how I saw it, or things like that. There's a lot of great resources for blog, what are they called, content. We do have our SEO video that you can search, and that has some information about blogging as well. Or we have our SEO guide that you can request by sending us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. Once you've got your blog post written, we'll scroll down to the bottom, and here we've got an excerpt and a featured image. An excerpt is what's going to show when you click on the blog page on the site. There we go. Here's our existing blogs. This right here is the excerpt. So you're telling it what to display in this spot. So your excerpt is going to be short and sweet, a good summary of what the blog post is about. You're not rewriting the blog, or you're not copying and pasting the entire blog. We'll put something like, get tips from Scott with Roy about staging your home for the best buyer experience. Something like that. That's a nice short, sweet excerpt that will tell you what the blog is about. And then down here for featured image, this is going to show in 2 places. One is on your blog post index page. It's this image right here that is going to get linked to that blog post. And when you click on it and you're actually viewing that blog, it's this image that's going to show across the top here where the slideshow would be. So your featured image, you can put, as long as you own that image, you can put kind of anything that you want to in there. I don't have a good banner image, so I'm just going to put a plain KW logo in there. That's going to be fun. It's going to look really funny. And then down here again, you've got a meta title and a meta description. So we'll do something like home staging tips blog Scott Roy. And then down here for the meta description, there's really not a lot of reason to not just copy the excerpt and paste it in there, because if someone sees the excerpt, they're probably not going to see the meta description, and if they see the meta description, they're not likely to see the excerpt either. Once you've got all that information in there, we're going to click publish. You can save it as draft and publish it later. So say you're on a blogging schedule and you're posting every Friday at 1 o'clock. You could write your blog ahead of time on maybe Tuesday and save it as a draft, and then at 1 o'clock on Friday, come and click publish. But we are going to go ahead and click publish here so that we can see what that's going to look like. So here it is listed in our blog page here. And if I go over to blog on Scott's site, here's that new blog post with our featured image up here of the KW logo. And if I click on that, here's that featured image up the top. Here's our title. Here's the content right here. It's really small. And there are share buttons on your blog here. Okay, so we're going to jump from blog posts over to testimonials. And this is where that testimonials index page that we created over here is going to come in. Testimonials can come from any source. You are going to have to manually copy and paste them in here, but if you have like Google reviews or Yelp reviews or Zillow Trulia reviews or from your old website or from Facebook or anywhere else, those are your reviews. It's your content. You can do anything that you want to with them. So you can copy and paste those into your website here. It's up to you whether you want to copy those onto this website, or you can replace the link in your menu to testimonials on any of those other pages. You're welcome to. And we can show you how to do that. Just shoot us an email at support@scottleroymarketing.com. But if you are putting in a testimonial on your site to show on your Happy Clients testimonials page here, it's not very hard. You just click that plus sign to create a new testimonial, give it a title, something, fun and, eye-catching, something like, let's see, never thought we could buy a home this nice until Scott came along. We had been searching for 8 months for the right property and kept getting turned down for financing until Scott put in a good word for us with his lender. And you can just copy and paste whatever they put in their review there. And then down here where it's got referrer, this is where you're going to put that person's name if they provided it. You can put anonymous here. You could put in, say their name was Jim Porter. You could put Jim P. Or J Porter, something like that. And make sure you get, what was I saying there? If they've submitted a review, you have permission to post it anywhere that you need to. And then for affiliation, this is where you would go. Was this a buyer or was this a seller? Or say you got a vendor review or one from a, what's that called? A co-broker on the other side of the deal. You would put that in here. This is going to be a buyer. Right here, this checkbox is telling it, I want to feature this blog post on my homepage. Certain, what are they called? Templates that you would select in the site settings that's covered in Placester 101 can show featured blog posts on the homepage. And the Madison theme does show that. Both of the Madison themes do. I'm not sure how many of the others do. You just have to play around with that. It's up to you whether you want this particular testimonial, not blog post, testimonial to show on the homepage. Down here, we've got an excerpt, and it's a summary really quickly of the, what's that called? Review, the testimonial that you're putting in here. So this buyer was so happy that Scott could find them financing. Something like that. For a featured image, you can put a picture of that person or the listing that they bought or the listing that they sold, or maybe yourself if you want to. I'm going to do a plain KW logo again just because I don't have any other pictures. And again, we've got our meta title and meta description. So oops. And then we'll do something like, and we can actually on testimonials, this is a great place to copy the excerpt over into the meta description as well, just like on a blog. Again, you can save it as a draft to send live on your site later, or you can click save to send it live now. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And if I jump over to Scott's site, and I click on our happy clients, now we've got this new review here. Never thought we could buy a home this nice until Scott came along. And if I click on more or on the image, excuse me, no, not on the image. If I click on more, it'll show me that full testimonial. There we go, right there, and it'll have that picture there. Notice that this is in a circle, so anything kind of outside too far to the left or right or too far to the top or bottom is going to be cropped out. Okay, so that's how you add a testimonial, and again, that's going to go on your testimonials index page that we created over here. Now we're going to go over to areas. And before we get started on areas, I do want to let you know that we do have a specific video called Search Engine Optimization Tips that covers areas pretty well in depth. We're going to go over the basic, this is what information goes in these spots, but then also on that SEO video, we cover, what would you put into an area page. And we actually have a template for what to put in an area page, which basically a fill in the blank that you can use for this. It helps you to be that local resource there. Area pages are great for specific neighborhoods or specific subdivisions, or if you live in a small town, you can write about that town. Getting much bigger than a city level or maybe a zip code level is going to be kind of tough because, everybody and their mother has written about Denver. Say you lived in Denver. Everybody and their mother has written about Denver. Say you wanted to write about a certain section of townhouses in Lakewood, which is a suburb of Denver. You could definitely do that, and you may be the only person who's ever written anything about that specific set of townhouses in Lakewood in Colorado. So creating an area page, there shouldn't be any that are automatically created with your site, but it's really simple, just like a page or a blog post or a testimonial. You click your plus sign to start a new one, and you're going to give it a title. So I'm going to call this Pretend We Lived in Denver, and I did want to write about some townhouses. We're going to call these The States. I don't know if that's a real townhouse system in Lakewood, but I used to live in Lakewood in some townhouses, and that sounds right. This is a neighborhood. Now, your options here in type of area, you can go from county, region actually is bigger. I don't know why they do county bigger. You can go from region to county to postal, which can incorporate multiple localities. And a locality is just Placester's word for city. I don't know why they've made it locality, but this is city. Or you can go down to a neighborhood. I wouldn't recommend going much above a locality. You can choose county here. So say, Jefferson County, I think, is what Denver is in. You could write about that county. Or region, this would be like the Front Range is where Denver was. So you can do as narrow or as wide as you want to there. I'm just going to do neighborhood because this is one particular set of townhouses. The name of the area, this is going to pull from the MLS based on your IDX connection, which was set up over in Site Settings in Placester 101. So if you don't have your IDX connected, this is going to pull from the KWLS, and it may be a little bit less accurate than the actual MLS IDX. So you can choose that particular, neighborhood out of the MLS. And I know it's not going to be in this one, so I'm just going to click any of these here. And that will help it to pull listings from that area to show at the bottom of this area page here. Down there, this is in default sort. This is choosing how you want to sort listings that are found in that area based on this name of area from the MLS. Highest price is usually a good option here, so you want to show off the best listings that are in that area. You can choose some of these others that are very similar to the featured listings sorting on over in Site Settings. I'm going to leave it as highest priced. You could do maybe newest if you wanted to. That would show the newest listings in that area. It's up to you. You could do the oldest year built. Say this is a historical neighborhood that you're writing about. You might want to show the oldest homes that are in that area that are for sale. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then on here, this is choosing whether or not on your area's index page, so this communities I serve here, whether it gets listed at the top of the page. Typically, as you post new areas, they're going to get pushed down just like blog posts. This is going to anchor this one to the top. And you can have multiple featured areas up at the top. It's just the newer ones are going to push down the older ones, as well as the regular areas showing down at the bottom. So moving down here, you've got your slideshow here, and it tells you these need to be 1600 by 600 pixels, so 1600 wide by 600 tall, and those are going to slide across the top of the page for this particular area. We haven't seen that there's a limit for how many slideshow pictures you can put here. We know on the home page you can only do up to 5, but I've seen I've uploaded up to 10 on this before, and so I don't think that there's a limit on this slideshow here. You do want to save some of the images, you may want to put some of those same images down here in this spot or in one of these two spots or down here as the featured image. It's up to you, and we'll get to those when we get to them, but I just wanted to let you know that there's no limit for how many files you can put in the slideshow. So down here in page content, you've got headline, which is actually going to show on the page. It's a little bit different from this area page title. This would be, maybe a little bit more explanation of the states. So the states, townhomes in Lakewood, Colorado. So you've got some body copy down here. You can be, put the most important information first. Price range, square footage, amenities, that kind of thing. You can add a picture here that's going to separate this section from this section. I'm going to add a KW logo here. You've got a subheading that will say, you can do something like amenities. And then this will be, pool, clubhouse, not poop, pool, clubhouse, park, dog area, that kind of thing. Down here, you can add 2 pictures that are going to show side by side, and I'm going to upload 2 pictures of Scott. He's going to be famous on his website here. There's one picture of Scott. Upload another one. That's essentially the same picture, basically, just cropped closer. Down here, we've got another subhead. You can do something like great for college students. Close to such and such campuses. 15 minutes or 5 minutes if it's really close. Something like that. And then down here, your excerpt is going to be a summary of this particular area. So the states, townhomes in Lakewood, what is that called? Colorado, by Scott, right, something like that. And then you would choose another featured image that would be shown on the areas index page. I'm going to put a GPS logo here just because I have one. And then again, we've got a meta title, the states, and then learn about the states townhomes with Scott. So again, you can save this as a draft to publish later, or you'll click Save to publish it now. If I refresh our community served page, there we go. Here is our page. Here is our featured image. You might not be able to tell, but there is some text here that says the states. Let me go back here. So it's going to show the featured image behind the text. So if you've got white in that featured image, it'll show that white text over it, and so it's going to cause a problem there. Here is my excerpt. I can either click on the image or click on Read More to see the full area page. There's our featured image there. Click here to view listings in that area. It'll take you over or scroll you down to the listings section of that page. Here is our content. Here's the image that goes across. Here's some more content. Here's those 2 images that show side by side. And then the final section of content there, and it shows it where it is on a map and listings in that area that are going to show the oldest built listings that we selected there or whatever you sorted them by. All right, that is pretty much it for our Placester 201 class. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to shoot them over in that chat window if there was anything that I didn't cover that you had questions about, or if I moved too quickly. I'm going to leave that open for about a minute, but otherwise that is going to be the end of our class, and I'll see you guys next time.